Grace, you were in Manhattan when the World Trade Center was attacked. How do you think it's affected people like yourself who were watching?
Well, it certainly made me realise just how small and insignificant I am. None of the people killed in those buildings have been remembered by their names or even the people that they were. They're just 1 in 1,000 or so. You know, it reminds me of how powerless individuals are against other individuals in the 21st century. All of us stood on the ground just staring as the planes crashed into the buildings. And I looked at the young lad stood next to me, and we just gazed, shocked, at the towers, knowing that even together we couldn't do anything. 9/11's changed our world. It reminded us of who we are and how we are nothing. Just nothing in the big scheme of things. It really just put everything for me back into perspective. I mean, I was on my way to work and I wanted a coffee. I got so annoyed because the service was slow, and then there was no sugar on the counter, and that made me late, and that meant I had to run, and then I spilled my coffee and I thought my day had been ruined. But it was nothing. It was nothing compared to what those people in the tower were going to go through and what their families were going to feel. And you know, if I'd worked in the World Trade Center, my little coffee mishap might have saved my life, even though it was a nuisance. So whenever I find myself getting aggravated over small things, I just think back to watching those powerful buildings collapsing. Oh, you know, I've become much more humble. And I think anyone that witnessed it firsthand or even saw it live on the television will feel the same. Humbled. Humbled's good. I think being reminded of all those men and the women who died there, I think that would make more people realise just how terrible it was.
So, Charlotte Pennell, you're a professor of social history. How do you view the events of 9/11?
Well, there certainly have been a lot of negative outcomes, such as the stereotypical view of Muslims. More recent terrorist attacks haven't helped that view, but 9/11 was certainly the starting point for many. The world has been changed for the better overall, though. It has made the powers that be acknowledge that extremists were able to plan and execute attacks on a large scale, and so airports and aeroplane security has been improved. To begin with, it was a little extreme, the lengths they went to. Some of the checks were completely unnecessary, but it wasn't viewed like that at the time, of course. This is because the governments were scared. Now, your leaders being seen to have fear isn't always a good thing, and the rest of the people certainly weren't made to feel safer because of it. It does go to show that as governments are no longer so scared, that they might be better prepared if a terrorist attack should begin to happen again. They've learnt from 9/11 and should be able to prevent terrorism in the future. It's also promoted global unity in the fight against terrorism, with the Western countries aiding and working with the countries the terrorist groups reside in to hunt them out and to stop more people from choosing terrorism, which in turn benefits the world, as there will be no need for security provisions in case of terror attacks. Presently, though, there is, which has meant that the military has become better trained to deal with these things, so they are now more skilled in negotiating and diffusing conflict, hopefully, rather than initiating it and using a kill-the-enemy approach constantly.
Thank you, Miss Pennell.
You're welcome.
Now, you've never seen a world before the attack. Do you think this means your generation have been desensitised?
To see conflicts and terror attacks as not as big and horrific as our parents, because the world we've grown up in has been one where violence has been common. It's not good, but we're being told this doesn't mean we don't accept that it's there. I think kids now expect terrorism more than adults did when they were our age, and accept it more because it's just how we know the world. We're going to grow up expecting and accepting conflict, so more violent and deadly wars won't seem so terrible, and massive counterattacks or terrorist attacks will seem more proportionate, which is pretty sad, because the world is just going to get more and more full of big wars, and all the lessons that we learnt from the world wars and stuff will be forgotten, because no one remembers that far back.
So, Mara, you were born in September 2001. What's your views on the 9/11 terrorist attack?
I've grown up being told by older people that the Muslims blew up the Twin Towers for no reason. And I believe it because I wasn't there when it happened. I think that as the people my age and younger grow up and become adults, there won't really be anyone who saw it happen there. And it might be forgotten, but it'll probably be seen like the Holocaust or something. How no one around anymore was there, so we don't really know much about it, and we see it as a horrible thing. I think that as less people who saw it happen are around, the rest of us are just going to go off what we've been told secondhand from the newspapers and families, which could be biased either way, and it'll create a bigger divide between Muslims and non-Muslims.
I know there's been attacks the other way round too, but most Caucasians don't think they've done anything wrong. They seem to think that all black people want to attack them and kill them for no reason, so they can yell at us and exclude us. The way I've been treated is actual segregation. It's like we've gone back to the time of slavery and apartheid. Later, that I realised what a massive incident it was. But still, what they did to me at the airport was unforgivable. They singled me out because of my race, not because of my religion. I didn't do anything wrong. They would jump into conclusions. Shortly after this, I had kids hurling abuse at me. I'm a suspect anywhere and everywhere I go.